Okay, welcome back to the training. And so in the last session, we just ingested the data into Splunk, where we had ingested a couple of data sources, where we had ingested Access 30 days log, DB logs, and Linux secure log, right? So let us see how to search the data in this session. So we'll only concentrate on how to search the data and how to use some of the Splunk commands. So that will help you in your day-to-day activities in Splunk. So for now, let me try to increase the timeline. So this is the index we have used to ingest all the three data sources, right? So I'm just referring to here. Now, let us try to filter. The reason we use Splunk to optimize the data as much as possible, right? So again, see, look at here. This is the data we have ingested, and compared to this one, right? So it has many, right? If you can see, it has got around 63,855 piece of lines which we have ingested into Splunk, right? So now if I just go back and look for all time, this is not a good practice to give, to increase the timeline to life to all time, but just to showcase, just to have a count like how many events are there in Splunk. It is 2,39,625 events are there in this particular index. Now, now I'm not interested in all these, though we see, though we have all the three data sources, but for one of my requirement, for one of my customer, he's only looking for web server log, not the DB log or not the Linux log. In that case, it is not a good practice to search with this index, right? If you just search with this index, see, look at here, look at the host. We can see we see a web server log, we see Linux secure, and also we see Oracle logs, right? And if you can look at the source will talk about the path or the file which we have ingested. And coming to source type refers that during our data ingestion, whatever the source type we select, all this will come here. And as I mentioned, source type plays a vital role in your data ingestion, right? So now my requester is not happy. I mean, he is not looking for all the three, right? So he is only looking for web server log. Then select this one, right? So which means, look at here, right? So previously we had around 2 lakh 2 lakh something. Now we again optimize the data. It has come down to 1,31,645 events, which means these are all, I can call them as a filters, right? So I'm just applying filters one by one. First, right, I just searched with index is equal to test, and later I'm interested in web server log. Hence, see, even if you can look at here, previously it was showing three. As had pointed out, I need only web server logs. Then it has listed down only the relevant logs here. Got it, right? And if you can look at these logs, right? Okay, Splunk has extracted some of the fields, right, as part of the parsing, right? So Splunk will undergo parsing before actually getting, I mean, while during the process of ingesting the data into Splunk. So during that process, during that parsing stage, Splunk has extracted so many fields. There is something called as selected fields and interesting fields. The selected fields talk about the host, I mean, mainly on the origin part, whereas interesting fields will talk about more on the data. So which means Splunk has analyzed the data and has extracted so many items. So which means this particular data contains, which has a purchase action, which has add to cart, which has weave, remove. These are also so many actions which we can see in this log file. And Splunk has identified that, okay, see, I see an action as a field under which I can see these many values. So which means this is a key, this has become a key and this has become a value. And if you can see alpha here, which means this is a string value which it is expecting and which is listing out as well, right? So these interesting fields will be extracted as part of our parsing process. In our upcoming session, we'll also extract additional information as well, right? So we can as of now, let's leave it like this now, and going forward we will be extracting additional fields and we'll see how exactly it works, right? So during that, now while extracting or while passing the data, Splunk has identified a couple of items here, and accordingly, it has listed down here. So I can use these items also to filter my data furthermore. Let's say my manager or my requester come and ask you that I want to see the data which what all, I mean, what are the counts, or I want to see only the data which has like how many products have been sold by the company, right? So if I want to look at the data, like how many products have been sold by the company, then this is what your request. Then you need to look for the options here. My manager is asking me to filter out the data based on the purchase, right? Based on the product sold, right? So let us look at some of the files, some of the fields here. Do we see something like this identity something? No, right? But if we can look at the action here, here you can see uh we see 1,31,645 events, which is not only the purchasing, right? So some of the events have been captured while adding these items into the cart, and we change the quantity and remove. But my manager is only looking for the data who has already purchased. I don't want all other items. If that is your requirement, let me add another filter here. Look at the difference. Previously, it was having around 1,31,000 change. Now, again, I just optimized my search with the purchase action. Are you getting my point? So, which means I've just started filtering out the data by adding additional filters, right? I just started with index is equal to test, where I was seeing around 2 lakh change. And again, I optimized, no, I just restricted my search to web server log. Then I started getting around 1,31,000 change. And again, I just filtered out saying that I just want to see the log files which are in the purchase phase. Again, there could be many issues, right, while purchasing also. So if everything goes good, we get a success message, and in the background it will be the status code as 200. And if something goes wrong with the transaction, we may get 500 or some other code, right? But still, my manager or your requester says that whatever the count you are giving, you are giving no 19,235 events, which means these many products have been purchased. But the case is, but actual the reality is that this is not the actual count. Please understand, while purchasing something, right, we may end up with many actions, right? So even we may go back to the previous transaction, or transaction it might get expired, or we may enter some wrong password, or because of which it may come back to the previous actions, right? So in that case, if you still want to, if your requester is requesting to get actual the number of item which got purchased, then for the in order to get that count, it is the query is not sufficient. So which means we need to identify the number of successful transaction. Please understand, we need to look for the successful transaction. Though we have an action of purchase, but we are not sure how many purchases have been successful or how many purchases have been revert back. So in that case, somewhere we need to look into the data here. We need to check if we have any transaction code or something called a status. Even I'm not sure. Let us check. Status. Yeah. See, look at here. Please understand. So during this purchase action, during this purchase action, we can see there are many status codes, right? Let us click on here. Yeah. So which means wherever I see the status code as 200, which means these are all successful messages, which means this is the exact count of the number of product have been sold. And these are all the other error messages where 500, 503, 408, 4 no, all these are all the transaction which has ended up with some errors. Now my requester is only looking for the successful transaction. Let us click this again from 17,000 to it's okay. Previously how it was, let me check. It was 19,000, is it? Yeah, it was 19,000. Now, after giving this no, filter, it is showing me around 17,000 change. Okay, is it fine? So this is again we started optimizing the our search query. Now, can we accommodate uh, multiple status codes? Yes. See, the Splunk query, right? Whatever the search query we are writing here, it almost resembles the behavior of SQL or database queries, right? So in SQL we use or and, right? So these are all the operators, or these are all the commands we use. So similarly, I can also use or operator. Can I use status 200 or status is equal to 400? Yes, we can use it. Let's see. Now, previously it was showing 17,000 change. Now, with this command, what exactly it is showing? I'm able to see the statuses of 200. Also, it is showing some of the events of which is having 400. Let us look at the status here. See, around 17,934 events, which is the successful events, and the status code, which is having 400, I could see around 94 events, right? So this is how you can also use OR operator. Now, can we use some logical operator? Yes. So let's say I want to see, let's say, for example, let me search here and let us look at this statuses first. See, uh, let's say I don't want to see the successful one. I just want to see the status codes which are greater than 400. Are you getting my point? See, either we can restrict our searches by giving exact match like status is equal to 200. If that is the case, it will give me around 17,000 change. Now, what I can do, I can still optimize my search. How I can give, I can say if the whatever the status code which are greater than 400. Give me the search results. Wherever you see a status results which is more than 400, which means or more than or equal to 400. Let's see how exactly status looks like now. Look at here, right? So it is not showing status 400 also because I have given which is greater than 400, right? So whichever the status codes which are coming above the 400, it is listing down here. Can I also see 400? Yes, we can see. So which means greater than or equal to. See, let us see. Now we should be able to see the status 400 also. Correct? So this is how you can filter your data. Now, I don't want any actions here, right? I'm not sure about action. Like, I'm not sure about the, the type of action which is doing here. So this can be a purchase, or this can be a weave, or anything, right? If you are not sure about of any of the value, right, just give star. If you're not familiar, if you're not sure about the value of a particular field, you can go ahead and give star. So that what will happen now, previously we were restricting our search only for purchase. Now if you can go here, you can look at all the options here, right? Is it fine? Now, can we use multiple index? Can we search with multiple index? Yes, it is possible. You can use or operator. You can use index is equal to star, or index is equal to name. So we can use and or, right? So whatever the operators typically we use in databases. So similarly, we can see, if we can see the index, it is only showing test, because we have not ingested anything on the main as of now, right? So which means we can search with the multiple indexes as well, right? Now let us try to search with the test index only, and let me select my source step as X combined W cookie, right? Okay. Now I see many interesting fields. I see many, right? And but in real time, if you play with the real time data, you will see, hundreds of, interesting fields which will be extracted by Splunk. Now I don't want to see all these information, because in order to see, I'm looking for only statuses. I'm only looking for status code, or I'm only looking for index, or some of the category ID. If I'm looking for only few data, I'll be I'll get confused if I have many. Which means, if you want to restrict your interesting fields with a minimal value, or with minimal fields, then we have something called as fields attribute, right? So how can we do that? Let's say, uh, action. Let me just me select action as a purchase, where I can see. Yeah. Now I want to see the log files. I want to see the fields whose action is purchase, right? And I want to see only limited fields. In that case, this is the pipe. This is the pipe we use. This is the attribute, or this is the pipe command we use to enhance, to add our query. So which means, which will be considering as a, which will append our search query with the help of this pipe operator. Okay, what I will do, we have something called as fields. Wherever you see a string with blue, which means this is defined by Splunk. This is a Splunk keyword. Now what I'll do, let me check, let me just select host. See what I'm trying to see here. I'm trying to filter out my data here, right? So this is the host name I'm given, which means I don't want source or source type. I just need host. And afterwards, what else I need? I want action, for example. Let me see. I'm just filtering out the data. Again, what is this? I want to have a category ID. Uh, Category ID. What else you need? You need client IP. Yes, I want client IP. Please understand here that these are all the values are case insensitive. the values are case insensitive, whereas fields are case sensitive. We will see later. Look at here, right? So previously it was showing many. Now I've just restricted now my searches to have only some of the fields. So in the selected fields, I have host, and in the interesting fields, I have three. For example, what will I see here? Client IP is small IP, right? So if I just give uh, client IP, it will not show because this is what I'm saying. So whatever the fields we have here, especially these values, right? We should have a we should these fields are case sensitive. And you may ask, right? You are saying values are insensitive. Correct. Well, case values are insensitive. For example, if I have to mention category ID as strategy, all right. So or else let's say let me put a category ID as strategy. This can be, this can't be. I mean, I cannot change this value because I cannot. I cannot modify this content because it should match with the item which is listing down here. Category ID, which is showing in the interesting field, should be the same in my search query. But I can change this strategy. Strateggy. So what I'll do, I'll just remove this one. Let us check if we still see the, yes, we still see the category ID as strategy, which means the interesting fields are whatever the selected or whatever the fields we have, fields values are case sensitive, whereas the assigned values for a particular fields are case insensitive. All right. Right. So yeah, let me stop at this stage. Yeah, please go back and refer this video, and please put your comments. So if you have any issues, I'll take it further. Right. So that's all for today, and we'll continue with our now subsequent topics. We still no. I'll try to go back to this data, and we'll try to further try to filter the data. We see how it works. Right. Okay, thank you for